A few years ago, I took a class at the Poetry Lab with the poet Juby Ariola Headley. The topic was writing collaborative poems. During the 2 hours we spent together, we talked about authors like Kenji Liu, Douglas Kearney, and Venus Khoury. We also did some exercises that required us to play with rhythm and repetition to get warmed up, and then wrote a poem with a partner from the class. I still remember the poem my partner and I wrote and how much fun we had exchanging ideas and figuring out how to put it all together. It wasn't about writing something good, but rather experimenting with what we had and making sure both of our voices were present. Our experiences were different, and yet the end result showed the beauty that happens when two poets create something together. This workshop gave me so many ideas about the different ways collaboration can be a part of my own writing practice. You can write poems with others, but you can also bring in other voices into your poems by writing, for example, a cento. In this episode, I will talk about my latest collaboration with a group of writing friends and offer a few suggestions for you to try, either on your own or with a partner or group. Ready, poet? Let's go.
Welcome to the Poetry Lab podcast. The Poetry Lab started 11 years ago to help dedicated, self-taught, and formally trained writers find a place in their community to write, read, learn, and collaborate. We help writers tap into their craft with radical self-compassion, unlike anything you've ever seen in a creative writing classroom before. If you're a creative person trying to establish a writing practice in the real world, this podcast is designed to help you carve out the time, the courage, and the inspiration to keep writing your new shit. Are you ready, poet? Let's get into it.
For the last 4 years or so, I've been meeting once a month on Zoom with 3 friends I met in poetry workshops and in my MFA program at Antioch University, Los Angeles. The structure of our meetings goes something like this. Catch up for about 30 to 40 minutes, write for about 20, then share. Usually the day before, we send each other a list of words and lines to use in our writing. A couple of months ago, one of the members of our group told us about a call for collaborations from About Place Journal, a wonderful venue that posts a wide range of calls a few times a year. So, we decided to go for it. It wasn't an easy process. We all have different styles and voices, but it was so worth it and a good way to find common ground in our work. This was more or less our process. First, we read the submission guidelines very carefully to make sure we understood what they were looking for, the length of the pieces, and the deadline we were working with. Then we had to decide what kind of structure we wanted this piece to have. Did we just want to have our poems one after the other? Or did we want to write an essay and insert a stanza or two between paragraphs? This part of the process took a few weeks as we went back and forth discussing. In the end, we decided on alternating paragraphs where we talked about our group process, followed by a poem from each one of us that contained the same set of words. After sharing all of our thoughts, we created a Google Doc where we each began to draft the prose sections of the document. We also copy-pasted our poems, which we revised until right before we submitted. Then came the fun part. We met over Zoom for almost 3 hours and went over the document, editing, changing a word here or there, until we all felt like we were satisfied with what we had. We let the document rest for a few days and tinkered with it, then hit send. And I'm happy to report the piece was accepted for publication. I've left a link in the show notes for interested readers, in case you're curious. I've seen other journals recently with calls for found poetry, erasures, and centos that also accept collaborations. But where to start? I have a few suggestions that hopefully will inspire you to play and experiment. The first prompt is called the Oracle, and it's an exercise you can do on your own or with a partner. If you're on your own, get your writing implements out and pull out 3 to 4 books of poetry. You can also use magazines, children's books, a car manual, anything that can provide some language you wouldn't normally use in your writing. Write down 5 questions you don't know the answer to. Make them strange, surreal. Then, read each question aloud, open one of the books on a random page, and write the first line that jumps at you as an answer. Do that for each of the questions. When you're done, read the piece aloud. Let it rest for a few days and then come back for revisions. You can always add more questions and answers as you revise or turn the questions into statements. Take them away if you feel like they're not working and leave the answers. You can also do this exercise with a partner. Each of you writes your questions and then asks them to each other. You search the answers for your partner and they do the same for you. After that, you can talk about how both of your pieces can be weaved together. Remember to always credit your sources. You can do this in a footnote and list the names of the authors you borrowed lines from. Our second prompt is called half and half. A friend of mine and I did an exercise where one of us wrote half of a poem and the other one had to complete it. I can't remember where we got the idea from, but it was such an interesting way to weave all the images, language, and structures together. You can try something like this, taking turns with a friend, so that one of you starts the poem and the other one finishes it, and then you both choose the version that you feel works best. After this, you can begin to revise and see if anything needs to be rearranged or changed. The most important thing is to have fun with it. Our third prompt is an exquisite corpse, which you might have done in a class or workshop, just for the fun of it. This one works better with a larger group, where one person writes a line, another one follows, then another and another, until you all decide to stop. And then you get to look back and read and sometimes laugh at the surrealness of it all. Our last prompt is writing a cento, and this one can be really fun. If you don't know what a cento is, I've got you. A cento is a poem created from lines from other writers. It's kind of like a puzzle. Once you pick your lines, you'll need to arrange them so that all those separate parts turn into a cohesive whole. Once you're done, you can credit your sources in a footnote. The Poetry Lab Resource Center has a couple of wonderful articles about the cento that talk about what this form is and offer some examples. I'll include the links in the episode notes. And one more thing, the cento lines don't have to be exclusively from poetry books. You can challenge the form by including lines from other sources like a movie dialogue, a novel, the title of a painting, and see what comes through. In this episode, we talked about how collaborative writing can open up new pathways to create different types of poems. It can also inspire you and motivate you to play and experiment with others. If you like this episode, please give us a like and follow, and help us spread the word about our podcast by texting the link to a few creative friends. You can also find us at thepoetrylab.com/podcast. Be sure to check out our curated playlist for a deeper look on DIY marketing tips, writing techniques, and inspiration to create. Again, I'm Leonora Simonovis, and you can find me on Instagram at @leosimonovis, or check out my website at leonorasimonovis.com. That's all for now. I'll catch you soon at the Poetry Lab.